10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Evening everyone, and welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. I'm Kirk and we're here with another match preview as AFC Bournemouth take on Birmingham City in the Championship at the Vitality Stadium tomorrow. What a busy week. Monday, Jonathan Woodgate came in as a coach, transfer deadline day. Tuesday, we lost at home again, 2-1 to Sheffield Wednesday. Wednesday, Jason Tindall left the club and was sacked. So a busy week and lots to talk about. And before we do that, why don't you like and subscribe to our new channel? We appreciate all the new subscribers we've had this week. So let's keep everything going. So my first guest, AFC Bournemouth fan, is Olly May. How are you, Olly?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to the game.
Thanks for joining me. And how's your YouTube channel going? I've seen you've had some really good watch-alongs recently. Yeah,
it's good fun. I recently doing a couple of watch-alongs for the Premier League and things. Obviously, wish we were still there, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, just enjoying watching the football, and not our club at the moment. That's for sure.
Check out Olly May's YouTube. Some really interesting stuff and some really good watch-alongs. As we go along in this evening's session for about 30 minutes, let us know in the chat what you think. There's already some really good conversations going on there, and we will bring some of them onto the screen as we go along. And Olly, on Tuesday, we lost to Sheffield Wednesday, 2-1, another frustrating performances, and ended up being Jason Tindall's last game in charge. How did you feel when that game ended?
When the game ended, I was frustrated. I think that the worst thing about it is that it was almost inevitable that we were going to lose. And no matter who we play at the moment, we seem to lose 1 point out of our last 5, 4 defeats in a row. Obviously, that was, like you say, Tindall's last hurrah as AFC Bournemouth head coach. And I think it needed to happen, but it was so difficult to watch it happen. And, I wanted him to go in the, nicest way to say that. I did think it was time for Tindall to make way and give us finally some fresh ideas. Obviously, Eddie left, but Jason had been with the club long before he became head man at Bournemouth. So it needed to happen, but yeah, incredibly frustrated at the result.
Some really strange circumstances. New coach comes in, manager leaves a day later. Also, he was given the whole transfer window in the end. So a really strange situation that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned the transfer window there. It got a little bit desperate on and off the field, I think, at the club. And I think the fans sort of latched onto that and sort of realised that things were getting a little bit desperate in terms of starting to finally start to get into a good run of form and pick up results again. And off the field, like I say, Matt Ritchie, we had a go at signing on deadline day. That was then rejected from Newcastle. But that again shows me that, we need something new. Matt Ritchie's, he's been at the club. He's had his time. He was obviously a key part of our promotion campaign in 2014-15, but we've got to move on. And I think that was a sign of things to come for Tindall, that maybe he was starting to go down to the last resources, the last page in the book as such.
And say moving on, we actually went the other way and brought in someone from a club just down the road at Southampton. And that was Shane Long. And actually, I've been really impressed. I know he split the fan base, but I've been really impressed with his work rate in training and what I've seen and his sort of interview when he sort of came into the club. Yeah,
I mean, fans are going to be divided because obviously he came from what some fans say is a rival club to Bournemouth. But I think that he's a player that I've seen week in, week out in the Premier League the last few years. Obviously, he's not really been featuring too much these days for Southampton, but, he's a goal scorer, and that is what we need. And, Callum Wilson obviously wasn't firing for us last season, but was still very key for us. He's, of course, now Newcastle's leading goal scorer and pretty much I think he scored something like 60% of their goals. And, that shows that we let our goal scorer go. Solanke's come in, and I think he's been fantastic this season. I was one of his doubters, I have to admit, in last season's campaign. And obviously he went so long without getting a goal. And, that was one thing that didn't think would ever happen. And in the end, this season he's been an inspired man. And although we've been in a hard sort of patch, in a rough patch of form, someone like Shane Long, like I say, is new, it's fresh, it's a new chapter in the AFC Bournemouth book. And hopefully, this season we can start to turn things around, because he's a natural goal scorer, and that is what we need.
So let's look ahead to Birmingham City tomorrow. And in the first game between the teams in the league, we won out quite comfortably in the end, 3-1. I think we went 2-0 up. David Brooks got a couple of goals. And it was when we was in a good spell at that time. I think Scott Hogan got a goal back for Birmingham. But can you think back to that game and how we were playing well at the time?
Yeah, I mean, David Brooks, you mentioned there, got a couple on that day. He was fantastic. I mean, he's a player that we haven't really heard too much from lately, which in a way could be a good thing. Obviously the results don't look so good on paper, but we have to look at what positives we can take at the moment. And David Brooks being out of the headlines possibly might be a bit of a silver lining for us. I mean, he's fantastic that day, like you say, and he is somebody that if we are to turn our season around and get into the playoffs, or possibly still make a late push for the top two automatic places, then I think David Brooks is going to be one of them players that has to be key for us, and I think he will be.
Jonathan Woodgate placed in caretaker charge again, split the fan base. He took his press conference today, and he was questioned about whether he'd want the job, full time, and how it's gone. 5 days here, and he's now taking the first team training. Your thoughts on Jonathan Woodgate? And he did say that his remit was to get 3 points on Saturday, and that's all he was focusing on. Yeah,
I mean, like I say, it's I don't want to go back on the same point over and over again, but we need something new. And I think Jonathan Woodgate is new. He's not been at the club before. He's, as far as I know anyway, he's not been, part of our history. And there's been a lot of talk of bringing big names in, Lampard and Terry and all of these big names, and in my opinion, I don't really want a big name. I just want someone that can win games. And I think that his press conference today, I wasn't overly impressed when we brought him in as sort of the head coach and an assistant to Tindall. I didn't really know what to think and what to make of it, but his press conference today really did impress me. And I think that him saying, look, it doesn't matter how we win, but we like you say, he just wants to win that game against Birmingham tomorrow. It's huge. That is a huge game for us. 1 point out of a possible 15 is horrific form, and we're actually second bottom in terms of the last 5 games for form. So it has to turn around, and I think that whoever takes the job on a full time basis is going to have a task on their hands, and hopefully Woodgate can give them a stepping stone to step on when they come into the club. If it is indeed someone new, it could be him.
And before I bring my next guest in, he was asked about player availability, and 2 knocks that were picked up the other night, which are going to go down to the wire, and whether they can play tomorrow, is Dom Solanke and Junior Stanislas. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we need a goal scorer. Shane Long coming in, is he match fit? We don't know yet. Like you say, he's been impressing people in training from what we've seen, and what's been shared by the club. But Solanke, 50-50, he's not been in too bad a form, has he? We haven't been winning games, but he's still sort of been looking like a threat, looking like a live wire in attack. So it worries me if he isn't there tomorrow, but it has to be, a chance there then for Shane Long. If I was Shane Long and I was sort of looking at the press conference today and what Tindall, what Woodgate had to say, I'd be thinking, okay, well, I'll prepare myself. I'll be ready. I'll be on standby for if I get a chance to start off from the off, or possibly off the bench. If you're Shane Long, you're looking forward to it. If you get a chance, if you're Solanke, you're hoping you're ready in time. If you're a Bournemouth fan, you don't care who plays. You just hope that we score more than Birmingham.
And we'll come to the squad lineup a little bit later on, and we'll try and see if we can predict what Jonathan Woodgate will do. Right, let's get my next guest in, a Birmingham City fan. Please welcome Kieran Bales. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. And just tell us a bit about what you do for Birmingham City.
Yeah, so I co-host a podcast at BCFC Media, just reporting on all the latest, Birmingham City news, transfers, match reviews, and and so on. Really, quite a new platform, but obviously hoping it can take off in the near future.
No, that's really, really good. And what I will do at the end of this is I'll put the details in the description. If I'll grab them off you, Kieran. If anyone wants to check that out, please do. So, Kieran, looking at Birmingham City, probably an up and down season, I assume, but 21st in the league. Your last fixture, 0-0 against Wickham. Frustrated by draw or happy?
Definitely a frustrating result. I think, especially like you say, 21st in the league, we really need to be winning the game, especially against teams in and around us, which is one of the things we really struggle to do. Especially this season, but seasons gone by as well. Especially if we need to put more distance between us and the teams below us, and we just seem to be being dragged back into another relegation battle again. So definitely frustrating, but it's what it is, I suppose.
And with 1 win in 10, 19 goals scored, I assume that will be one of your problem areas at the moment.
For probably our last real out-and-out goal scorer was Shay Adams, who left to CIO, speaking about Shane Long, one of your rivals, so to speak, Southampton. We've never replaced him. The goals have dried up massively since he left. We just can't see a way of playing efficiently to our forwards' strengths, really. So it's a big struggle. We've signed a new striker in the window in Sam Cosgrove. He's yet to get on the pitch for us. So hopefully, when we see him in a blue shirt, he can bring something different and finally start hitting the back of the net.
And an interesting stat is that you haven't scored a goal in the second half, I believe, since December the 16th. Now, if you do go a goal behind or two in the first half, is that game over?
I think, especially the way we're playing at the minute, if you used to watch us, especially under Karanka, I mean, Blues fans knew what he was about anyway. He's more of a manager who sets out not to lose rather than to win handsomely. I think if he was to get one goal, I think the heads would drop, personally, at the minute, the way it's going anyway. But we just seem to really struggle, especially like you say in the second half. I don't know what's said at half time, but they can never really step out of second gear during the second half of matches lately. It is quite a concern. I'm hoping he's got an answer to it.
And although I say you've only won 1 in 10, we've only won 1 in 8. So it's quite balanced out at the moment. And when I do look at the head-to-head between the football teams, and someone's mentioned in the chat, is the last 6 games, played 6 against Birmingham, won 6. I think there's been some goals in there as well, but you would hope to think that would go in our favour.
I mean, I remember back to a couple of seasons ago, we came to, I think it's the season you got promoted to the Premier League, actually, and I think it finished 4-2 to you. I think we weren't either 2-1 or 2-0 up at the time. But we can never seem to hold on to a lead. We can never really seem to put too much pressure on. Whenever we seem to play you, we just seem to crumble. I am hoping tomorrow is different. I'm not too optimistic, but there's always that slight hope for now.
And you say that and you think, well, come on then, our season's got to turn around at some point now. But then I get worried about something, Kieran. I have a look at some of the games you've won this season, 6 wins, and you've beaten Brentford, Huddersfield, Preston, Bristol City, Reading and Borough. Then I'm concerned again. You've beaten some big teams there.
It's, as I said, when you mentioned the Wickham game, teams in and around us, we can never seem to, I don't know whether the players can't get themselves up for it. Maybe they get a bit complacent playing these teams, with teams that we should be beating realistically with the squad we've got on paper. But then when, like you say, Reading away and Bristol City away, we went and won those 2 games back to back in the space of 5 days, if I remember rightly. And whatever, I don't know what it is about the squad, but I'm definitely more optimistic going into our game away to you tomorrow, regardless of our form, than I was when you came to our ground earlier on in the season, which you should never be saying. You should never be looking forward to an away game against the top 6 side more than you do. But
you do better away from home than you do at home as well.
Massively.
Olly, Ollie, does that concern you, some of the teams they've beaten there?
Yeah, I mean, they're taking the scalps of some of the best sides in the league, and that is always going to worry, a team looking for promotion. You see that in football nowadays that any team is a difficult opponent, and especially when you're in a bad run of form as we are. I think you could play anybody at the moment and we'd struggle. But you saw with the Premier League game between Sheffield United and Manchester United, nobody expected Sheffield United to go and beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, and they did. And that's the sort of thing that we're looking at now in terms of this sort of Birmingham game, where on paper you'd look at the lineups, the millions of pounds worth of players that we have, and you'd say, oh, it's an easy result for the home side, or look at the table, they're miles above them in the table. Of course they'll result, but regardless of form, regardless of where you are in your overall promotion or relegation battles of such, Birmingham Bournemouth is one of them games that, like you say, through the years we've been victorious in, and we've been lucky to see quite a few decent results. Obviously, the standout 8-0 back in the day. Surprised we got 18 minutes without mentioning that one.
He can help himself, could he?
Honestly, I couldn't.
Every single time.
Yeah, but I apologise. At least it's not Southampton. It could be 9. But, on a serious note, tomorrow is not going to be 8-0. It's not going to be anything near. And like you say, they've taken the scalps of big heads and big clubs. Let's hope they don't take ours.
No. So before we let you go, Kieran, what does Karanka do tomorrow? How's he going to set you up, and how's he going to try and get a result for you?
I think he approached it the same way we approached Norwich away from home. Obviously, drawing comparisons to recently relegated sides. When we went to Norwich, we didn't have a sniff on goal, really. We camped in our own half for the majority of the game. Didn't really even look threatening on the counter-attack to a certain extent. Like I said, Karanka is well renowned from his time in Middlesbrough. Keep a clean sheet, don't lose the game. If you get the goal and win the game, then brilliant. But if not, don't lose it. And I think that'll be his mindset tomorrow, 100%. We'll sit behind the ball, try and frustrate you, and probably try and hit you on the break too. Fast-paced wingers and probably a target man as well. He may be Jukovic or Cosgrove up there to kind of hold the ball up when we can get out. What happens from there is anyone's guess.
Score prediction?
Realistically, I'd take a draw right now. I'd be happy with a draw. I'll go 1-1.
Okay.
Just sit on the fence. I'll be happy with that, the way things are going.
Kieran, really appreciate you coming on. Wish you all well for the stuff that you're doing. Obviously, we hope you don't win tomorrow, but thanks again, and we'll catch you soon.
Speak soon. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, Kieran. After hearing some of that stuff, Ollie, is it making you think differently about the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I saw a comment in the chat from Craig saying that he's wearing the green shirt, hoping to send them luck, and we need all the good luck we can get at the moment. And from hearing his comments there, it's not going to be an easy game tomorrow. We know that, and I can just hope that we get a reaction. We had a reaction at the start of the season, and obviously, we changed managers and changed outfit right at the end of a difficult season where we changed leagues and a lot of players, left the club as well. So it was a whole different team and a whole different club than what we saw under Eddie Howe at the end of last season's Premier League campaign. So, now that we've got rid of a manager in the middle of the season, I can't remember the last time that we did that. I think it must have been when Eddie Howe came in. It's such a long time ago that we've had this sort of thing happen at AFC Bournemouth. And I think hoping tomorrow that we get a reaction. And I think that now that Woodgate, like I say, Woodgate's very new. It's not like he's been at the club very long. I think you said 5 days or something. It's not long at all. And hopefully the players get a response from him and the new ideas, the brand new ideas that would have finally been implemented on the training ground in the last couple of days. Eddie Howe and Tindall worked together for so long that when Tindall came in, would there have really been that much of a difference? We didn't see that much of a difference on the field. So will we see a different team? Will we see a more attacking and back to the almost old style of Bournemouth tomorrow in a whole new formation, a whole new outfit? Let's hope so.
Let's go into our final segment then in this show, and I'm going to put you under a bit of pressure now, Ollie. So let's move into this and see what we can do. Right, you're going to put yourself in Jonathan Woodgate's shoes now, Ollie, and I want you to attempt to try and figure out what Jonathan Woodgate might do, okay, and what team he might pick. I haven't asked you already. I haven't asked you yet, shall I say, but I mean, what formation are you thinking he's going to go with? Because we're really not going to know anything, really.
No, I mean, it's going to be a whole different look, I would say, than what we've seen so far. I wouldn't differ from what we've got on the screen so far. It's a very sort of static 4-4-2, an old-fashioned 4-4-2, you could say. I would probably say that's what I'd expect to see. Maybe a 4-4-1-1 with maybe David Brooks playing just behind Dom Solanke or Shane Long, depending on who is fit to start tomorrow. I mean, that's the formation that I think is best suited to our players' style, and we haven't seen it very often.
No. So who do you think is going to start right back? Who will Woodgate pick to go right back?
Well, first of all, I like the fact that we've got Begovic in goal. I think it wasn't going to be a surprise that I was going to say Will Dennis, or it wasn't going to be a shock there. So I agree with that. I think he's been the player of the season so far, Begovic. But in right back,
I just do it naturally now. He just goes straight in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah, I mean, in front of Begovic, I think Jack Stacey has to be in at in the right back spot. I think he's been strong this season. He hasn't had the best sort of couple of games, and I think that tomorrow, if we're going to get a good result, we have to stop conceding silly goals. We saw that it was his mistake that gave the first goal away against Sheffield Wednesday. So that sort of thing's got to stop. So I put Stacey at right back.
And your two centre halves?
I would have to go for Chris Mepham and Steve Cook. I don't think there's much debate on that at the moment.
Oh, Chris Mepham's a bit of a question mark. I mean, he didn't have a very good game at Reading, and then he cost us the first goal when he tried to play back to Begovic. So, yeah, Chris Mepham. Why Chris Mepham over maybe Carter Vickers or Lloyd Kelly?
Well, the thing with that is, I don't think Diego Rico is Diego Rico fit? Is he ready to play?
I think he's fit, but very inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put Lloyd Kelly in at the left back position. I think the first thing we have to do is start playing left footers on the left. It sounds simple, but for some reason we haven't been doing that. So I would put Lloyd Kelly on the left, and that's why I've gone for Mepham in the middle. Carter Vickers has been good for me this season, but Mepham and Cook have had more experience together. And I think that what we need now is a little bit more of a united team and a more sort of experienced side where they know each other. And although it's a whole new start, a whole new manager, the players need to realise that they need to start playing as a team and not as 11 different individuals. So that's why I go for Chris Mepham. But it's a close one.
And let us know what you think in the chat. There's a lot of people wanting Carter Vickers, but I think, it's a difficult one to choose. Two centre midfielders there. We've got some talent in midfield now. And we've got Ben Pearson, who's come in, Jack Wilshere. We've already got Lerma. We've already got Lewis Cook. So who would you pick to go in the two centre positions?
I think Jack Wilshere, you can't deny his quality. And I think that he's one of them players that if you were to bring in someone like Jack Wilshere straight into the starting lineup and give him a couple of games to really start expressing himself in the style that we know he can play, I think that'd be huge. So I'd have to play Jack Wilshere in the left, and then I think next to him,
Difficult.
I would probably say Lerma, because I'm not too sure if I'd rather play Brooks on the right and play Lewis Cook in at the sort of attacking midfield position just in front of those two, or whether I'd rather play David Brooks on the in that sort of attacking mid centre forward sort of role. So I would have to say Wilshere and Lerma, and then what have we got left? Left back and a.
Let's go for we got a wide players, so right winger and left winger. Let's go right first.
Right, I think I'll have to go. I think I'll have to go for David Brooks on the right. I think you could play him. I mean, he's got undeniable quality. I think we could play him pretty much anywhere on the field in terms of that attacking lineup. But I think, if we go Brooks on the right, and hopefully he can get back into a little bit of form. And I think if Danjuma's fit and ready to go, he hasn't been in great form, but I think Danjuma on the left would be my go-to in terms of the midfield, and that of course completes the four.
I always worry about Danjuma playing in a flat four in midfield, because I think he played that position when he was fit for Eddie, and he always struggled to get on the half turn or into high attacking areas. He was always kind of receiving it off the left back in our half with his body facing our goal, and we obviously see the best of him when we've got him on the half turn, and he's in those 20 yards of the opposition goal. So I don't mind him being there. I just want him to be a little bit further up the pitch. I don't want him to be too deep and be coming to get it off the left back too often, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where Danjuma plays tomorrow, and of course if he does play tomorrow, because like you say, he's not been at his best since the start of the season, where of course he came into the game, came into the season and came into games as a match winner, and he sort of lost that sort of special touch to create something out of nothing. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays under Woodgate.
So late fitness test for Solanke and Stanislas. You've also now got Shane Long, and Sam Surridge has to be putting his name in the hat, because every time he comes on the pitch, he changes the game or puts in effort that a lot of players aren't. So two positions there. Who are you going for?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are a considerable amount of names that we could throw in there. You could say Shane Long and Stanislas, or maybe you could put Stanislas on the right and put Brooks into the centre forward role. Of course, like you say there, you've got to mention Sam Surridge. You have to sort of say that he's got to make a mark at some point or another, because he is, when he comes on, a very exciting prospect. And I think that he hasn't had a lot of match time, and we saw that Solanke this season has started to cement his name on the team sheet, and I think it's not long until we see Surridge do that. But I wouldn't start him tomorrow. I would start Dominic Solanke if, of course, he is fit, and we cross our fingers that he is.
So you start him up top?
Yep, I would be starting him up top, and like I say, Brooks on the right, or the centre forward spot. I honestly don't know if I was Woodgate what I would be doing, whether to start David Brooks in a more central role, where of course he's been very prosperous in before, or to play him out on the right. But what I think I would do is play Brooks in the centre. I've changed my mind throughout this team sheet. I think you mentioned Stanislas, and we saw when he got the late winner. I think it was away at Stoke. That these sorts of games where we're playing teams that are very sort of hard to beat, and they play a certain style that can be frustrating, that you need a bit of quality. So I think Stanislas has that, and of course he's got a deadly set piece as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's Jonathan Woodgate went in there and said it's a quiet dressing room. Confidence is on the floor. It wouldn't surprise me if he does go for a rigid, basic formation, because he said he doesn't want to put too much pressure on them. They need to just get back to playing football, playing it well, and start smiling, I suppose. So I wouldn't be surprised with this. I think it is difficult to pick because we just don't know what Jonathan Woodgate's going to do. But I could also potentially see Shane Long play where Solanke is, because Solanke is touch and go. But interesting stuff. People are switching their minds on stuff. We've got Solanke, and then there's people going Long. So it's definitely difficult, and I don't think anyone's going to nail it down 100%. But we'll go with that for now. Interesting stuff. What are you thinking tomorrow then? Do you think that we do find our form and we do hit the ground running with Woodgate in charge as caretaker, and we get back to winning ways?
Yeah, I think so. I hope that tomorrow we're going to get back to winning ways. It's been what seems like a long way away, or a long time ago, that we're celebrating a victory on a Saturday evening, or any evening for that matter. Of course, we're struggling at the moment to pick up results, and it's a new look team. It's a new look AFC Bournemouth, and I think that tomorrow is a chance for a fresh start. Like I've said before in this broadcast, that we need a new start. And Tindall wasn't brand new. You know, he was new, but he was sort of second hand. You know what I mean? He was a new idea, but he had learned off of the previous successors. So it wasn't brand new. Whereas Woodgate, he's only had 5 days in charge. He wouldn't have learned an awful amount from Jason Tindall, if anything, from what we've seen in the last few weeks. No disrespect to Jason if you're watching, but he wouldn't have learned too much, Jonathan Woodgate, in the last 5 days or so. So I'm going to go for a result in Bournemouth's favour tomorrow. And I'm hoping that we're going to get some goals on the board and win comfortably for the first time in a while.
This is your chance then to drop your score in the chat, and I will pull them onto the screen just before we end the show. What is your score prediction, Ollie?
Honestly, this could be all over Birmingham Twitter tomorrow, but I'm going to go for 6-0. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. It's not going to be pretty tomorrow. Like I say, it's a fresh beginning, and I can hope we can start with a win. I'm going to go for 3-1. I'm going to say, and again, this could be all over Birmingham Twitter, but I'm going to say that Shane Long is going to get on the score sheet. I don't know if he's going to start. I don't know if he's going to be on the bench, but he's going to score tomorrow.
And before I let you go, anyone in particular in your mind at the moment who you'd like to take the job or be offered the job by the club?
Yeah, like I say, I don't like the whole big name thing. You know, it does seem very sort of forced that we're going for Lampard and Terry just because they're Lampard and Terry. You know, they haven't got that much experience at this level. You know, it's one of them things because Lampard, you know, he managed Derby, got them into the playoffs. Yes, of course, Premier League with Chelsea was a lot of managerial experience, but on the other hand, John Terry's never been a head coach. He's never had a head role, and I don't think he's quite ready for that. And like I said, I think we're sort of saying Frank Lampard because, it's Frank Lampard. He was the Chelsea manager. Let's get him in. It doesn't seem well processed for me, these names. The same with Harry Redknapp. Harry Redknapp, of course, lives in Bournemouth. He loves the club. He has been at the club before. I don't think it's the right man for Bournemouth. In terms of who I want, somebody with championship experience that is undeniable. It's someone like Jukanovic, you know, somebody that he's done it before. He knows this league. Someone that can come in and make a difference to the club. Not a big name just because they're a big name. You know, we don't want these sort of Glenn Hoddles and Lampards and Terrys and Redknapps. Yes, they're football icons, but we don't want that at AFC Bournemouth. We just want to get back into the promised land of the Premier League. And like we say, you know, we got there from nothing, and I think we've got to stay true to our roots and give trust into somebody that's not quite in the limelight.
Ollie, it's been brilliant to have you on.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Check out Ollie's YouTube and his watch-alongs. A lot of fun, and I'll speak to you soon, Ollie. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers. Right then, so what have we got? So I'm going for a 2-0 tomorrow. I think Woodgate will make us tough to beat. So let's have a look down some of the scores that you've got on. Thanks for coming on the show. Some really good chat, some really good interaction. That one's not a shock. 3-1. That's got to be coming soon, surely. 3-1. Is that on your Super 6? Is Bournemouth in the Super 6? I haven't even checked it yet. Chris Hubble, good evening. How are you? 3-1. Mark Cole, thank you. 2-0. Cameron, good evening. 2-0. Jeff, 3-0. Thank you for your comments, Jeff. Hello, Daniel, and you in America. 1-1. Heather, enjoy the game. 2-1. Morgan going for a 1-0. Don't care. Win the game. Get 3 points. Rich, good evening. 3-0. Jamie wants a 1-0. Probably doesn't include Mepham if we're keeping a clean sheet, according to Jamie, I reckon. And Andrew is 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. So I assume that's how it's going in order for you tomorrow, finishing 4-1. I'll take that. Mark, good evening. Is that 31 to the Cherries or 3-1? 3-1, I assume. Thank you for joining us. 2-0. We've got some more in here. 4-1. So it looks like, Harvey, how are you? 6-0. Good evening. Liam as well, 2-0. So looks again like some positivity's back tonight, and hopefully when we approach the game tomorrow and the squad lineups are released, we can look forward and hopefully get back to winning ways. Jonathan Woodgate said today his remit was to get 3 points, to get the players playing well and build some confidence. And I'm happy with that. Caretaker charge. We do need to get back to winning ways. And if we do that, the club might be in a good position to bring in a new manager to take us on and hopefully take us up the table as far as we can go. We know we need the playoffs as a minimum. Thank you for joining us. It's been interesting stuff. What's coming up soon? So lineups live tomorrow, 45 minutes before kickoff. Join us for that on YouTube and Twitter. There will be no preview show ahead of Burnley, but we will be doing a Cherries extra time, which is a free-for-all format where you can come on and let us know what you think about the game afterwards. So join in for that as well. Right. Enjoy your evening. Look forward till tomorrow. We need to get that win. We need to score some goals. We'll see you on the next video. Up the Cherries.